The New Orleans Saints were busy in free agency yesterday. We'll start with the biggest of the two signings and the one that I actually like. The Saints have agreed to terms with former Kansas City Chiefs safety Justin Reid. This is reportedly a 3-year contract agreement worth $31.5 million. I think this is a great signing. He's been in the league for 7 years. Over those 7 years, Justin Reid, 580 total tackles, played in 106 games. He had 2 interceptions just a season ago, 5 tackles for a loss, 2 hits on the quarterback. Not only is he a safety, he's a guy that you can move around. Him and Tyrann Mathieu should be intriguing and, quite frankly, very versatile tandem for the Saints at the safety position because Tyrann Mathieu plays a lot in the box. He can play deep as well. We know Reid can play deep. He can play up towards the line of scrimmage as that box safety. There's a lot you can do here. I think this is a great signing, one, because I think Justin Reid is a really good player, but also you were very, very thin at the safety position. You had to do something. We didn't know if the Saints were going to address this in free agency or whether they were going to take care of this spot in the NFL draft. They ultimately decide to go the free agent route, and they do sign Justin Reid. Louisiana native. Obviously, we know Eric Reid in these parts. He's, of that family, actually has taken the exact same NFL path as Tyrann Mathieu, if you can believe that. They both started their careers with the Houston Texans, went on to win Super Bowls at the Kansas City Chiefs. Now they are together at the New Orleans Saints. Again, I mentioned 7-year NFL vet, former 3rd-round pick. Here's the big one, because I talked about he can play at the line of scrimmage. He can play in coverage. The Saints struggled at missing a lot of tackles last year on defense. That was kind of one of their biggest things. He's missed just 9.8% of his tackle opportunities throughout his entire 7-year NFL career. I mean, think about it. I just said 7 years, 580 total tackles. That's a lot of tackles for a safety in just 7 years. I really like this signing. I think it was good all the way around. And when you look at what he was projected to make in free agency, the Saints technically got him on a discount. His projected contract in free agency, PFF put it out, was 3 years, $46.5 million. The Saints got him for 3 years, $31.5 million. About $22.5 million of that is fully guaranteed. I think it's a great signing. I'm excited to see what Brandon Staley can do with Mathieu and Reid at that safety spot. They are both so versatile, and that really helps you on the back end because we knew Tyrann Mathieu was going to be here, right? They recently restructured his deal in the past 48 hours, so he's going to be on this team at least next year. But outside of him, you had Jordan Howden, who had been very up and down. He had been kind of a hit-or-miss player, showed flashes as a rookie. Last year kind of took a step back. And then Will Harris, who was a free agent, he wound up signing elsewhere, so you don't even get him back. You basically had Tyrann Mathieu, Jordan Howden, and nothing else. You had to add a safety, and they had a big one. They had one of the top free agent safeties on the market. Excellent signing for the New Orleans Saints. Look, when you free up cap space, these are the type of moves you have to make. I get it. Everyone all the time blames Mickey Loomis for kicking the can down the road. I'm guilty of it too. It's because you never really see them do anything with that. This is the type of free agent hire where you look at it and you say, okay, I understand why maybe you backloaded Derek Carr's contract a little bit more or you freed up that cap space because they think they're in win now mode. I've said multiple times, I'll continue to say it. I don't think this team is in win now mode. But Mickey Loomis, Kellen Moore, and the rest of the staff and front office members certainly do think that they can make a run at this thing. And maybe they can't. Maybe I'm wrong. But moves like this, it does inspire a little bit of confidence because at least the Saints are being aggressive. Some of you will sit at home and be negative about the Saints regardless and say, they spent $31 million on a guy at safety when they can't compete. I get it, but at least they're trying something. That's a lot better than what we've seen from the Saints in the past. So I really like the signing of Justin Reid. The other news that broke as far as a re-signing, I don't like as much. The Saints have announced that they are re-signing Juwan Johnson, the tight end. It's a 3-year deal worth up to $34.5 million. The base of the deal will be about $30.5 million, and he could get $21.5 million of that guaranteed. He's only 28 years old. I don't like this move. Yes, you needed a tight end. I don't think you needed Juwan Johnson. Johnson's been very inconsistent. Look at what he did in his Saints career. Juwan Johnson, we'll go just this past year. Played in all 17 games, started just 5 of them because it was kind of a tight end by committee. Foster Moreau started more of the games, even though Juwan Johnson's receiving numbers were a little bit better. 66 targets, 50 receptions, 548 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's fine. That's fine for a tight end. He is a little bit of a one-trick pony, though, not much of a blocker, which is why you have Foster Moreau. I'm good with keeping multiple tight ends, but I want a guy with a little bit more versatility because, kind of now, you put in Foster Moreau, there's a better chance that the tight end's going to be blocking. You put in Juwan Johnson, well, he's probably not blocking at all. Let's back off a little bit. It's probably a passing play where Juwan Johnson's going to run a route. It just makes your offense a little bit more predictable, but look, we had talked about it. Could you go trade for a young tight end? Is there anybody in the draft that you like? Because at this point, you're running it back with the exact same group you had last year. Last year, you had Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill. That's what you have this year. Foster Moreau is going to be on the team in all likelihood. You just re-signed Juwan Johnson long-term, and I don't think you could trade Taysom Hill because of his contract. He'll likely be back as well. Because that's something you want to do. In my opinion, there was inconsistencies at tight end last year. It was a question mark. And you're running it back with the exact same guys. You reward Juwan Johnson with a bigger contract. Has he earned it? Foster Moreau on the last year of his deal. Taysom Hill not getting any younger. He's also coming off of an injury. How healthy is he going to be once the season starts? What does this do for the thought of Tyler Warren in round 1? He's a guy we've talked about on pretty much every show in this building of, hey, this is a guy that the Saints could target at 9 overall. And I think everyone's pretty much in agreement that you would take Tyler Warren because tight end was that big of a need. I don't think you go there. First off, I don't know how much of a priority tight end is now in the draft. The Saints are good running it back with the guys they had a year ago. Secondly, it's a very deep tight end class. Look, Gunnar Helm, Colston Loveland, Mason Taylor, all 3 of them, 2 I think for sure of those guys will be there when you pick at 40. Maybe they'll even be there in round 3. Elijah Arroyo from Miami's coming out. Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green, who led every tight end in every single category last year in college football. He might even be there in the 4th or 5th round. So if you're not going to go tight end anymore, I don't think they go Ashton Genty. I know a lot of people are talking about that. I don't think they do that. I don't think they should do that. You're not going interior D-line. You need a pass rusher, but I don't think you're doing that first round now that you drafted, re-signed Chase Young. You're not going safety first round. And you're not going tight end. Once again, this kind of paints a little bit of a clearer picture for what maybe the Saints will do in the first round. I don't think they go O-line. I think it kind of right now boils down to 2 guys. The first one's Will Johnson, who, if he's there at 9 when the Saints are picking, I hope the Saints pick Will Johnson. You have a big need at corner. Remember, you lost Paulson Adebo. You now have Kool-Aid McKinstry, who was a rookie last year, Alante Taylor, who's played a lot more inside on your defense than he has outside, and Rico Payton. That's what you have at the cornerback position. Will Johnson was productive in college. Now, his numbers dipped a little bit this year at Michigan, but you could kind of say that for every player at Michigan just because they weren't nearly as good as they were in 2023. Look at Colston Loveland. Going into the season last year in college football, he was considered the best tight end. Now there's a chance he goes 3rd round. He could also very well be there at 9. I think most of the mocks you look at have him there at 9. So I think if Will Johnson's there, you got to take it. However, look at what the Saints have done in free agency. The guys they've decided to re-sign. It's all been on the defensive side of the ball. So maybe you can look at this and say the Saints have focused all their attention in free agency on the defensive side of the ball. That means they're going to be offense heavy in the NFL draft. That is a totally reasonable thing to think. That brings me to Teteroa McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona. He's 6'4", he's 220 pounds. You don't have anybody on your team like that at the wide receiver position. Look, I really like Chris Olave. I liked it when you took him in the first round. Concussions, no concussions, take that out of the equation. I'm not sure Chris Olave is a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. I think he's a heck of a wide receiver too. And with almost certainty, Rashid Shaheed is not a number 2. He's a number 3. He's a guy that can beat you deep. He's an undersized guy. He is not a number 2 wide receiver. He'll certainly make some plays for you, though. I like Rashid Shaheed. I think he has a role on this team for sure. But you need that big-bodied possession receiver on the outside, and you just don't have it. Tetairoa McMillan's there. Put up good numbers in the Big 12. Multiple years. I really like Tetairoa McMillan. So maybe they do go offense heavy in the draft. The reason I think they need to go Will Johnson and not Tetairoa McMillan is that the cornerback position is not very deep in this draft. You have Will Johnson. Jedi Barron right now, kind of borderline first-round pick. Really depends on where he falls and who's there. He's a guy that could go in the first round. I don't know if the Saints spend the 9th overall pick on him, but I like Jedi Barron. He was at Texas. He was an outside corner on a top 5 defense in college football. Outside of that, though, I mean, Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky, he had a good combine, but he kind of had an up and down college career. He's like the third or fourth best corner right now on all the big boards. You're not deep at corner at all. Receiver, you are deep. You have McMillan. You have Matthew Golden. You have Luther Burden. I mean, those are just the top 3 guys. And let's say all of them go in the first round. They very well, maybe there's quality guys you can get later in the draft. You're very deep at wide receiver. So I like Will Johnson and Tetairoa McMillan. I think they're both a big need. But honestly, just because of what's left in the draft and what could potentially be there at 40 overall, I think at this point, if Will Johnson falls to you at number 9, you have to take him. He has to be a member of the Saints if he falls to number 9. Just because there is a big gap between him and the next corner. There's not that big of a gap between Tetairoa McMillan and a Matthew Golden, a Luther Burden, or whoever else you want to put on that list. Is it Johnson? Is it McMillan? We'll see. Maybe it's neither of those guys. I think maybe that's the direction, though, that the New Orleans Saints are looking.
Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.